How to turn a saltwater tank into a fresh one. Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'll be showing you how to turn an old saltwater aquarium into a fresh one. As you can see, this tank has salt buildup, it has algae buildup, it still has some saltwater sand in it. It's very filthy. I got it secondhand from a friend who it's been sitting in the garage for forever, and they said if I can clean it, I can have it. So that's what I'm going to try today in this video. This is not the only way to clean an aquarium. There are other ways, but this is the way that I am choosing to do so today. Always remember to do your own research before you put anything on a tank that can harm animals. Now that we got that out of the way, let's just jump into it and let me tell you what you're going to need for this project. You are going to need 1 cup of white vinegar, 1 gallon of hot water, as hot as you can stand without burning yourself, an aquarium sponge and scraper, which can be found at your local pet store, some old clothes that you don't really mind getting dirty, whether it mean, water, vinegar, really anything that could be in the tank, and a new pair of kitchen gloves, specifically a new pair so that there's no chance of any soap residue getting on or inside the tank, since that's not good for fish. Please be sure to act safely with everything and to always read safety labels to know how to handle and how to not handle things. With all of that said, once you've gathered everything, let's go ahead, get to our tanks, and let's just jump into this. First, I start off by taking my hot water and my vinegar and mixing it together. I personally decided to do this in a 5-gallon bucket that I had lying around, but it doesn't really matter what you mix it into. Once I've done that, I take my aquarium sponge, I dip it into the mixture, and I start applying it all over the tank. I do this to let it soak into the salt and the algae to help loosen it up later for when I start scraping everything off. Depending on the severity of your tank, you may not even need to use a scraper. I personally needed to use one just about the entire time because everything was caked on so heavily, but depending, you may not even need to use one. Do remember, however, that it is very, very important to not scrape away the silicone that keeps the tank together as well as keeps the water inside the tank. If you do end up taking away the silicone and you end up breaking the seal, you'll have to reseal the tank. It's not a fun process, it takes a couple of days, it smells really bad. I really just don't recommend it. If you don't have to seal a tank, don't do it. It is really important though to remember to fill up your tank and check for leaks before you put fish in it. Do keep in mind while doing this project that it will probably take you a couple of hours. The tank that I'm currently cleaning is a 75-gallon. It took me about 2 hours. It might have been able to take me a little bit less time, but I was trying to be as thorough as I could. Just keep in mind that this is not going to be something quick. You're going to need to put time and effort into it depending on how dirty the tank is. If your tank is dirtier than this or larger than this, it may take you more than a couple of hours to complete. Once you feel like you've cleaned the tank pretty well, go ahead and take off one of your gloves. Once you've done that, feel all around each side of the tank. It's very possible that you might have missed something. Once you've cleaned the salt deposits pretty well, they become fairly translucent. It's important to make sure that you do this because you don't want those salt deposits on your tank, possibly raising the salinity of the tank when you're going to have freshwater fish in it. It was this part of cleaning the tank that was the most frustrating for me personally. I had a lot of those almost invisible salt deposits on my tank, and I had to go over my tank again and again and again, trying to find them and making sure that I got all of them, especially since the fish that I'm going to be having in my tank are scaleless fish and don't deal with salt at all. Do make sure you are using that solution to the most that you possibly can. If you have some places that are not coming off, that you're having a lot of problems scraping at, just keep dabbing that solution on there and let them sit. It's what the solution is there for. It's to help loosen up those particles, so make sure you're using it to the most that you possibly can. Make sure that you're taking your time and really being thorough when you are cleaning your tank. It's important to get it done now versus filling up the tank, putting fish in it, and realizing that you could have done more and now you're not really able to, or having to unfill the tank if you miss some really big and important spots. So just make sure that you're being thorough and that you're cleaning it the best that you possibly can so that you don't have to do it again later. This is how the tank looked when I was just about done with it. I still ended up needing to scrape a little bit more off, and then I ended up needing to do a little bit more of the bottom since I couldn't quite see everything until I rinsed it out, which is what we will be doing next. Once I figured it was clean enough, I brought the tank outside, hooked up my python, and started rinsing it out. After a couple of rinses, I realized that I had missed a couple spots, most of which were on the bottom of the tank, which I wasn't able to see very well because of all the sand. But once I got that cleaned out, I continued just rinsing it out, pouring it out, rinsing it out again, pouring it out, just as needed as I needed to continue to spot clean. And once I was done, it looked beautiful. As I said earlier, I did get this tank secondhand from a friend. I did get some help in moving the tank from their house to mine, as well as into and out of the garage, as well as some help with getting the water out since it was getting kind of heavy. My boyfriend was very helpful with this, as was the neighborhood kitty who was very interested in what I was doing. Now is probably the best time to fill up your tank and see if you have any leaks. I like to try and let my tank sit for between 24 to 48 hours to make sure that if there are any leaks that I do catch them, because there may be microscopic leaks in the sealant, and it's better to wait a little bit longer than fill up your tank, put fish in it, only to find out that you have to empty it all out again because there's a teeny tiny little leak somewhere. I did end up doing this off camera as I ended up filling it in my garage on its stand instead of while I was outside because it was going to have freezing temperatures that night. Sadly, I ended up getting really sick for about 10 days shortly after this, so I don't have any more footage from once it was finally dried, once I filled the tank, adding on the filter, the light, everything like that. But here is, some clips of the fish that are currently in there, how it's looking right now. It's in a middle stage at the moment since all of my plants haven't been transferred over, but it's looking pretty good. No leaks or anything, and everyone is very happy in this tank. This tank does still have quite a ways to go. I still have to reposition the wood a little bit, as well as, like I said, add some plants and add some other decorations of sort. If you would like to see that, go ahead and click the subscribe button down below. I'll be trying to put out videos once a week if I can, or if I have a reason to. I am new at this is my first video, so I'm going to try my best to be as consistent as possible with uploading. My pleco was hiding the first time I went out to go and get some footage, so I ended up going out again about 30 minutes later and he had moved, and you'll be able to see that here shortly. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button and that bell icon to get notified when I post new videos. I have some big projects underway and I'm super excited to share them with all of you. If you ended up doing this, go ahead and comment down below how long it took you and how large the tank was. I hope to see you guys in the next video and have a wonderful day, everyone.